Okay, so our third screencast has to do with the equity portion of our home and mortgage unit, and this would have been a 2-day lesson for us. We did the first half of it yesterday, and our plan today was to continue with day 2, but we had a snow day, so this is our plan for Monday. So we start off with some notes, and I'm going to go over the key with you right now. I just need to scroll back up here. So this is all shared with you, both the blank and the key, but we talk about how homes are different than cars in that their value increases or appreciates over time versus a car whose value decreases or depreciates over time. And we review the car equity graph. This is something that we did with them in the first half of the year. So if you were with us in our first semester, this will be familiar with you. So we graphed a depreciation function for our car value, showing how it's going to go down. And then we graphed our loan amount, and that was a linear function that we used for that, to look at our break-even point and talk about equity and when would be a good time to sell your car based on how much money you owe and what the car is worth. So we wanted to take a look at how different it is with a home equity graph and kind of compare the two. And we can take a look at this loan amount graph, and we can actually get the picture of this graph from our amortization table. So I'm going to click over here and go back to our amortization table. And if I highlight all of the data in the table, and I'm sorry, I tried to have it ready to go, I'll highlight it, but it didn't work for me. So you'll have to sit and watch that. Okay, here we go. So if we highlight all the data in the table, and go up here to Insert, Chart, it comes up with a line chart, so that's good. That's exactly what we want. But what we want to do is, I'm going to move the screen so you can see this. What we're going to do is we're going to get rid of some of the information, because all I want to compare is the time versus the principal or the balance or what we owe. So I really want to concentrate on this one, not what's going toward, what the amount going towards principal or the amount going towards interest. So I'm going to delete these extra series over here. Remove. And I just want to concentrate on the F column because that's the balance. So that's how we kind of take a look at, like, oh, this is what our loan balance looks like. It doesn't decrease at a constant rate. And I actually went over this with them the first day of the amortization table stuff. So that's how they were able to kind of remember how that function looks. And then our home value function, it looks like a straight line. It probably should be a little bit curved. We talk about how that it's increasing, but at a slow rate. So what that function looks like and how you're pretty much always going to have equity, but how much equity is important. So we talk a little bit about the reasons why cars depreciate and homes appreciate, and we revisit the equity equation, which is the value minus what you owe is going to equal your equity. And we talk a little bit about what you can do with the equity in your home here. So after that, I show them an example of finding equity at different points in time, and how we're going to do this basically in the activity the next day. And what I need for that, and I don't make them pull this up, I just usually just show them, is we're going to need the amortization table, which I had pulled up before. And you need Desmos.com to graph it. So having said that, what I did was I just gave an example where we have a house with a sale price of $225,000, a down payment of 15%. And actually, the other thing we need is the down payment calculator that I shared in the second screencast, because that's how we came up with our down payment amount based on 15% and our principal, which is now the amount we're borrowing. We're not borrowing the sale price, we're borrowing the principal at what we owe the bank for what we need to buy the house after our down payment. Using the rate and the term here as well, and then typing that information into our amortization table, 225,000, 15%. Now I can see what my ending balance is at any given point in time, and if I'm going by years, I just had my kids stick with March, so 3/1/2018, 3/1/2019, and so on. So that's how we were going to come up with, where am I here, what your loan balance is at any given point in time. That's going to come from the amortization table. But how do we know what the house's value is at any given point in time? And that comes from our appreciation equation, which I, set up with them, similar to the depreciation equation of a car, and we use 2% as our appreciation rate. So this is the function I'm using for this example, and that's what I type into Desmos to graph. So y equals 225,000 times 1.02, close your parentheses, add a caret, shift 6, and to the x power. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Desmos, you're going to not see this because it's not in our window. So what I want to do is I'm trying to make this bigger so I can actually see the wrench. Okay, so you're going to go click on this wrench over in the upper right-hand corner, and we're going to change our axis. So for our x-axis, we're talking about time, which can be up to 30 years for a mortgage, so 0 to 30. And then our y-axis is going to be 0 to, and we want to go, enough above the sale price of the home. So I always say go like $100,000 above. So I'm going to go with just $350,000 here. And that should show up, except I think I missed a 0 in my original equation. Again, I did. Okay. So now we can see our function, and you can find the value of the home at any given point in time. You can just take your mouse and scroll over points and click on them. But if you want a point to stick around, let's say you want to know the value of the home in 10 years, you can just type x equals 10. And then if you click on that point, it'll stay. And then this is the value of the home at 10 years, $274,273.74, which I took back and wrote over here, along with the loan balance in 3/1/2028, which was 10 years. That gave us an equity of $124,000, $124,010.23. So that was one day for me, and then the next day we were planning on sharing this calculator with them, and again sharing the template and just putting the formulas in. This one we can copy and paste from our other down payment calculator, but here we wanted to create a formula for equity, which would be just equals your home value minus your loan balance. And your home value comes from your Desmos equation, and all that you would change here is just the sale price of the home and what year you're looking for. And you would get, here we go, you would get your loan balance from that amortization table, just going and clicking to the cell that contains whatever year you're looking for and taking that balance here. And then it should come up with the equity. So my plan was to do a couple examples with them, have them come up with examples from Zillow and use them and talk about equity and how it compares as you increase time in your loan. And then for the last 15 minutes or so of class, I have an assignment for them, which they'll do the same thing. They're going to choose a house on Zillow, calculate the principal with a 15% down payment, using this right here, this calculator here. Go to Desmos and type in their equation so they can find the house value. Enter the information into the amortization table so they could come up with the loan balance, and then answer questions on equity. So basically very similar questions to what we had just gone over when we were working through this calculator with them. So that is about it. If you have any questions on any of these topics, any of these materials, or any of these screencasts, please feel free to send me an email and I'd be happy to address them. I hope you have a good weekend. Thank you.